Well, I think you've met Bill Kemmer. Bill's been here for the Veterans Day service. Bill was here for the Four Chaplains event that we had. Bill and I worked together for 3 or 4 years at the National Guard Bureau. We actually traveled the world together, meeting chaplains and chaplain assistants at various outposts around the world. And we met people who serve our country faithfully wearing the uniform. Bill and I always got along with each other. It was we just were like the yin and yang as we traveled the globe. And no matter where we went, Bill and I would always grab dinner before calling it a night. But Bill had this one annoying and distracting habit when we went out to dinner. We'd order our entrees, the food would arrive, and I would say a prayer, and then Bill would pull out his cell phone and take a picture of the meal and post it on Facebook and send it to his wife. What compels us to post images and sayings that we select? I mean, okay, Bill, you ate that, who cares? Why would anyone care about what you ate? People post all kinds of things on Facebook. I mean, if you're a Facebook follower, or Twitter, or Instagram, people take pictures of the craziest things. The folks who disturb me the most are like, look at the surgery I had, and there's a picture of the stitches, and it's like, I don't want to see that. I don't care. I care, but I don't want to see it. People post that kind of stuff. They have funny license plates, the strange things seen along the highway. Just the other day, I saw a Tesla, an electric vehicle, driving down the road, and their license plate was one of those vanity plates, and it read, kicking gas. Yep, that's how I want to spend my $40 on a license plate. It's awesome. When reading the story of Nicodemus, there are so many ways that a person could go in making Facebook posts about this story, about this encounter between Jesus and Nicodemus. Several months ago, I purchased a Bible. It's not a normal Bible. It's marketed as the tabloid Bible. You know, like when you go to Publix and you're standing in line and you see the National Enquirer, the Midnight Star, whatever it is, about the latest story about somebody going through a trial and tribulation in their lives. For example, the headline here reads, God creates world and it only takes 6 days. The tabloid Bible is cited because it provides some good headlines to post on Facebook or any other social media platform. There's another, so if you want to look at the major stories of the New and Old Testament, it does a beautiful way of being very creative in telling the story. You know, Jesus feeds 5,000. Critics say he sliced the bread very thin. It's one of those deals. And think of what posting a headline would be like if the story of Jesus and Nicodemus. You know, where you put your phone, pull up Facebook, put down, local Pharisee seeks help in the dark of night. What's going on? Or, Jesus confounds religious leader again with troubling sayings. Or my favorite one, this should have been the sermon title, Nick at Night. Now, we try to be clever with sayings and statements. Years ago, Jane and I traveled to Belgium, and that special night, the special that night at the local restaurant was rabbit soup. So I posted on Facebook. I would have had the rabbit soup, but I was afraid there might be a hair in it. I thought that was brilliant. I thought that was just... The Gospel of John is known as the book of signs. Because in John chapter 2, Jesus turns the water into wine at the Cana feast of Galilee. And John notes that this was the first of many signs that Jesus did to show that he was the Son of Man. And at the end of the book, the gospel writer notes, now he did many other signs that are not recorded in this book. So Jesus, the book of John is known as this book of signs. And so it's no surprise when Nicodemus approaches Jesus and begins the conversation by saying, Rabbi, we know that you are a teacher who has come from God, for no one can do these signs that you do unless God is with that person. Nicodemus saw something. He saw some signs taking place. Each of us look for signs in life. Signs that we've made the right decision, the correct decision of what to buy, where to go, who to be with. Signs that the right person married the other person. No, after my son was married, a friend sent the following cartoon. If you can read it, the bride and groom are walking back the aisle after getting married. And so it begins, I didn't like the tone of your I do, she says to him. Not a good sign. We're not sure what signs Nicodemus saw. And as a Pharisee, a pretty lofty position in religious circles, he meets Jesus at night. Most of us meet Jesus at night. We go to Jesus in the darkness of our despairs and worries when we want to find guidance from God. When all alone, when friends have abandoned us, or they don't know the struggles churning in our souls, that's when we seek Jesus. It's at night. Remember the scene from It's a Wonderful Life? George Bailey sitting at the bar, lost in despair after Uncle Billy misplaced $8,000. He grabs a drink, tired eyes, unshaven face, and prays. I'm not much of a praying man, Lord, and don't know if you're up there, but if you are, it's in the darkness of our despair that we seek Jesus. There's something going on here, a person who's lost in dark, seeking light in his life. Nicodemus wants to see light. You must be from God, says Nicodemus. No one can do what you do unless God is with that person. It's at night that we pursue the reality of God. We don't want to come across as religious wackadoodles, being fundamentalists, that this is the way it has to be. We're people of faith, and it's fluid. It goes back and forth. Faith is one thing when it's a set of beliefs. It's quite another understanding when it's embodied in a person. Nicodemus saw this faith embodied in Jesus Christ. Signs. We want signs that we're doing the right thing. Give me a sign if I should go through with a surgery. Give me a sign that moving to a retirement facility is the right thing to do. Give me a sign that everything will be okay. We want signs. It'd be so much easier to have that clear sign. The frustrating part of faith is that our lives are based on faith. And so that faith is like looking kind of blindly sometimes into the future. Hebrews writes, now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. But we love to see things. We love to hold things, touch things, to know that they are real. The conversation Nicodemus has with Jesus doesn't go as he planned. The dialogues in the fourth gospel, they're anything but normal. It seems like people are talking past each other. Take this passage. Nicodemus says, no one can do these things unless God is with him. That's what Nicodemus says. And Jesus replies, no one can see the kingdom unless being born from above. It just seems to pass each other. It's like in the morning at my house. Jane will say, what do you got planned today? And I write, wow, look what happened in D.C. today. We're disconnected in the conversation. Some versions use above, others use again. And Nicodemus seizes on that. How can one be born again? How can they re-enter their mother's womb? Have you seen people who've been reborn? I have. Born from above, born again, reborn. My guess is that we all have. A spouse dies. They remarry or have a blessing upon the relationship, and they're Their eyes sparkle, their hearts beat harder. They feel like 80-plus-year-old teenagers walking down Fifth Avenue, holding hands, getting a glass of wine at some store. It's like, wow, I haven't felt this way for decades. People can be reborn. You leave a job that you just find frustrating. You find that niche in life that just brings life to you in the morning. You can't wait to go to work and work with a new group of people and do something exciting with your life. You are reborn. Another way of saying that is it's redemption. Redemption is a gift from above. It's like being born again. A feeling of being born to new life, a new perspective, to a new understanding of who one is. Redemption is freeing. Jesus Christ frees us because Jesus Christ redeems us. You know, we post on social media aspects of life that are just new and exciting, they're strange, they're distracting. Imagine if I placed a tip jar on the communion table. That would get a post. Great wine today, clink, clink. Great bread, it was even toasted, clink, clink, clink. Well, finally, the conversation between Jesus and Nicodemus gets to that verse we grew up with in Vacation Bible School and Sunday School. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. The wind blows where it will. God's Spirit redeems us when least expected. The change in our lives cannot be forced. Sometimes it just happens by the will of the Spirit. I would say it's in our lives, we get reborn a number of times with our work, our partners, our life, our love, our kids, something that comes alive again. To be in Hawaii with my oldest son and to see how he has grown as a young man, it's like watching a child be reborn. And I was reborn as a father. A Christian-owned quick car lube and service in Plano, Texas lets customers who recite a Bible verse get a $19.99 oil change. $19.99. But you got to say a Bible verse. When one non-believing customer refused, his bill went up to $46. And he got a lawyer. Charlie Whittington, who owns the station, came up with a deal. He's standing firm on his faith despite complaints from Marshall Wee, who just wants the same perks as those who did recite the popular Christian Declaration of Faith. For God so loved the world, you know the verse. The coupon that we received said customers must quote the verse to get the $19.99 price. Dallas attorney Andy Siegel told the station that as a private business, the Bible-based discount seems to be within the law, though he added, the study of the Bible has many rewards. I'm not sure that God intended a lube discount to be among its many riches. The Spirit blows where it wills. Redemption cannot be forced. Redemption is postable. God's love is postable. I want to close with a story about the depth of God's love and how a person goes above and beyond to reach out and embrace someone that they love. A young woman walked into a fabric shop. She went to the counter and asked the owner for some noisy, rustling material, not that smooth, silky stuff, the abrasive kind of material that they sell. And the owner found 2 such bolts of fabric, but was rather puzzled at the young lady's motives. Why would anyone want several yards of noisy, scratchy, abrasive material? So finally, the owner's curiosity got the best of him and asked the young lady why she particularly wanted this noisy cloth. And she answered, you see, I'm making a wedding gown. My fiancé is blind. And when I walk down the aisle, I want him to know when I've arrived at the altar so he won't be embarrassed. That's kind of amazing. The Spirit blows where it wills. Social media posts are digital noise, but that's not noise. That's the kind of noise you want to have that brings people closer together. Jesus doesn't want you to be embarrassed when he arrives in your life. Being born again or born from above is a good thing. Jesus wants our life to be a living post of his love and redemption. We are living posts of what God is in the world. People need to be redeemed. They need to be freed. They want to be reborn. They want to be born again, to have a new perspective, a new understanding of life. And we should be channels of that. Next Sunday, the sermon will be, if Jesus used social media, new friend requests. And we're going to look at the woman at the well. Amen.